All right. So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. For those of you who joined live here early this morning, we've still got our Christmas palm tree up. It is the new year, and we're very excited about it. Stacey and I just got back from the Virgin Islands, and when we were down there, you get out there in the water, you start having some drinks, and you have all these talks and things. You get all philosophical, and we came up with some pretty cool topics when we were down there talking. One of them stuck with me, and I wanted to talk to you about it today. It's going to be how much time do you have left? Okay, and then what are you waiting for? So some of you, well, whoever is watching this, you're going to be able to take this in a positive note, or you're going to be able to take this in a very negative note. What do I mean by that? I did this talk years ago, and somebody hit me up afterwards and was just irate with me that I would suggest that she was going to die one day. Oh, she was mad about it. Like, how dare I talk about that and things like that? And I was like, oh, okay. Look, I got a coffee stain on me first thing this morning. Good. So it's real here. I was like, oh, okay. I apologize for suggesting that one day you might die. And so that's the case, right? We're all going to die one day. No one wants to think about it, right? Where they say everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. All those different cliches and things like that are out there. But today, we're not going to talk about you dying. We are going to use some numbers with life expectancy and stuff like that, but we're going to be talking about your retirement, right? How much time do you have left? And what are you waiting for? We're going to get into that. We're going to talk to you. I got a bunch of graphs and stuff. I'm going to show you really cool numbers. They're going to help motivate you, right? It's the first of the year. Everybody's got their New Year's resolutions that you did. Hopefully you have written goals. If not, go back to my other past videos and get your written goals. Get them written up on your mirror. Should be just 2 or 3 sentences there that you have that are goals for 2023 that you're going to apply action plans to get those done to give you the life of your dreams. And so Stacey and I wanted to say thank you so much for everything you guys have given us in 2022 and beyond before that, and also what's coming in 2023. We're super grateful to be a part of your life. And so first of all, I want to start off, tell you a little story. And the story is about Stacey's grandparents. Stacey's grandparents are very close to her. As many of you know, her parents passed when she was younger. And her grandparents became her parents, right? She was with them all the time. And she ended up actually moving into a position as they got older where she became their parent. She was taking care of them all the time. And one thing that is really incredible in your life, and I was glad I was able to be on the sidelines and participate in this, but if you have the chance to take care of, I mean, really take care of people that are elderly in your life that you care about, do it. Because it will change your perspective on life and will help you not miss life. What am I talking about here on this? Well, let me tell you what's going on. So in their 70s, Stacey and I decided we would start vacationing with the grandparents, right? We went on vacations with them because they eventually got to an age where they could not do things themselves. It was in their mid-70s. All of a sudden, they still had their golden years that were out there. I'm using the quote golden years here, the air quotes. But they couldn't really enjoy it unless they had a chaperone, for lack of a better term. Somebody to go with them to make sure they weren't being taken advantage of, somebody to help them book stuff, something to help them understand things like the internet, right? How do you book airline tickets and go on cruises and things like that? And the older they got, the less they were able to do. Now, they were married, how many years, Stacey? 67 years? 67 years. They both passed away in 2020 at the age of 86, like 90 days apart from each other. Just the classic love story, meeting each other 67 years prior and being married. Amazing, right? But what we got to see was the fact that this aging process is really not what most of us have in our mind. Right? I thought your golden years, man, you work until you're, you start taking Social Security at 72, you work till you're 72, 75, and then you live your retirement, right? That's what you do. That's how it goes. That's the time frame I had when I did the math. And boy, would that have been a mistake, a huge mistake as far as living life. Because as they got into their 80s, we got to a point where even the vacations they took had to be very limited. They had to be closer to home. They couldn't go and travel the world like you think that you were going to do. And so we're gonna look at some numbers, and these numbers are meant to be positive and uplifting to get you off your butt, to motivate you to go after your goals and to go out there and not just win the day, win the year, but win life. Because the worst thing in life is not failing. That's not the worst thing that happens in life. The worst thing in life is to get to the end and have regret. It's also important to prioritize things, right? Maybe your goal is to be the #1 realtor in the city of Columbus, right? Or wherever you're at, right? In your city where you're at. You want to be the #1 realtor. That's great if that's your goal. But at what cost does it take to get there? Like what cost? What do you sacrifice to get to that? And are those sacrifices worth it to get you to where you want to go? That's all the part of the goal writing process in my other videos that you have to check out. But let's take a look at some numbers. All right, let's take a look. Enough of this intro stuff. Well, I talked a long time. Let's get into this thing. So first thing I wanted to look at is how long. I know I got a bunch of windows open up there. Don't make fun of me. Stacy gets PTSD from that. What do Americans know about life expectancy and health in the US? Okay, this is some interesting stuff. What do Americans think the average life expectancy in the US is? Well, good news is 24%, which is not a majority of Americans, but it's the biggest group in this graph, think it's 75 to 79. You're going to find out here in a second that that number is correct. That is the average life expectancy right now in the United States. This is interesting. 4% think the average life expectancy is 95 or older. Uh-oh. By the way, in all these graphs, if the people responded, I don't know, they weren't included in this, okay? 5% thought it was 90 older. 9% of people, 1 out of 10, think that the average life expectancy is 90 or older. Look at this, 85 or older. You add those together, 18%, almost 1 out of 5 people think the average life expectancy is 85 or older. It is not. It is not that, right? And again, this could be a positive thing. Don't panic. Don't call me up later and say, how dare you say we're going to die one day, because we will die one day, right? How long do Americans think they personally will live? Check this out. 10% of the people, and by the way, this was a huge thing done by YouGov, think they're going to live to be 100 or older. 10%, 1 out of 10 people think they will live to be 100 or older. Do you know how many people right now in the United States are 100 or older? 55,000. That's it. 55,000 out of 400 million are 100 or older, okay? So I just thought that number was interesting. Look at this. People that think they're going to live to be, these are people think about themselves, are going to live to be 90 or older. Look at this. 31%, 1 out of 3 people think they're going to live to be 90 or older. And that's a fallacy in their brain, where we tend to think that we're going to live forever. And the reality is we're not. The numbers show it, right? The math are on there. What are the leading causes of death? Of course, people think it's heart disease and things like that. It's obesity. It's going to be the problem here in America and for Americans. Okay, so what do we live? We live to be 77 here in the United States. Now, women, that's the average age. That is, you guys fortunately bring that number up. Guys, if you're watching this, our number is a little lower. The ladies, I think, are at 79, and the guys were at like 72. And because they average it all together, the average number comes out to be 77. You can find graphs and stuff on this to break it down by your age. They even break it down by your health and your fitness, where you're at, what your BMI is, as your life expectancy and things like that. Anyways, you can get into it a lot deeper, but that's the number 77. Okay, so 77, no problem. Now we're going to talk about not dying. We're going to talk about retirement, because you want to live that life of your golden years. By the way, there's the obesity. 75% of the problems that Americans have is obesity. We live in a country of wealth and prosperity, and boy, we let it go by eating to our waistlines on there. Okay, so let's take a look at let's take a look over here. This is also a really neat chart put out by Social Security Administration that you can take a look at. You can look all this stuff up, by the way, but it shows your shows the actuarial tables of dying at what age and where you're at and how many people do that. Pretty interesting type stuff that you can see there. And let's see, here's another chart you can see. All right, you get the idea. So the charts are there that you can look at. So here's what I want to talk to you about. When do you want to retire? First of all, what is retirement? Retirement is different for everybody. Here's how I define it for me. You're going to have to define it for you. This is real important. Anytime you want to get somewhere, you have to start with an end in mind, right? If you're going on a trip somewhere, you have to find out where you want to go, and then you work to get there, right? I was going to say just a road trip. Well, sometimes road trips, you just get in the car and just start driving, right? You right turn, left turn, you just end up wherever you end up. But usually you have a destination in mind. In this case, you're going to have a destination in mind. Retirement. First of all, what is it? And then when do I want to have it? For me, retirement is this. I work when I want. I work with who I want, and I work as hard as I want, where I want, because I want to. That's retirement. I think that I will always work in some form or format, but it's because I want to, not because I have to. Most people, darn near 95%, which is almost everybody, ends up working because they have to, right? They're allowed to quit their job or whatever they have because they had to work that long. It's rarely because they wanted to work that long, right? So define for you what retirement is, okay? Then figure out when do you want it to happen. Okay, so we're going to do that and find out when. When do you want to be in that position? For me, it's in 5 years. 5 years from now, 55. That's the big 60 number. I can't believe I'm going to. First of all, I can't believe I'm going to live to be 60 after everything I did in college and things like that. So I'm very grateful for that. But I still can't believe I'm going to be that old. That's going to be nuts. Exciting, but still nuts. I can't believe it. We have to roll back the clock on that 20 years, I think, when we hit that, when we have that party. It'll be a 40-year birthday party, not a 60 that we have, okay? So in 5 years, I want to have what I define as retirement. I want you to do this for yourself. Make sure you're not just listening to me talk. Do this for yourself. Where are you? When do you want retirement to be? From there, subtract your current age, okay? So that'll give you the number of years. For me, it's 5 years. From there, multiply that times the number 270. Why 270? Because technically it's 270 working days. Working days. Remember, we're not talking about when you're going to die. We're talking about when you're going to retire, right? We're talking about life here. We're talking about living life to its fullest, okay? 270 working days. For me, I take 5, I pull out my calculator, right? I take 5 because I took 60, subtract my current age, 55, I get 5 years, and I multiply that times 270. That gives me 1,350 days. Are you kidding me? 1,350 days. That's not a lot of days to get to where I want to go. If you remember, this can be either depressing or motivating. To me, that's motivating. I have to make every single work day count if I want to get to my goal of retirement, right? My goal, my definition of retirement in the next 5 years. That's crazy. Think about how short that is and do that number for you. And then some people will actually make some type that are visual. They'll make some type of visual thing that they look at and they count it down each day. And it reminds you to make each day count. And then you have your goals and say, you know what, I got to do those goals. What are those dirty, seemingly insignificant actions that I have to do every single day to get to where our goals are? And then I have to track, where am I on my goals? Do I need to increase my activity? Don't decrease my goals, right? Grant Cardone says in 10X, never reset the goal. The goal is the goal. If you're not on track to hit it, you got to increase the activity, okay? And so then we know when we want to retire. Then we need to know this. How much do I need to have to retire? Now, most people live on a monthly budget. I'd say pretty much everybody, right? They live on a monthly budget. If you live on a daily budget, you're definitely living life. You're thinking on a day-to-day thing, but let's go on a monthly budget. How much will I need at that time to retire? Okay, your definition of retirement. How much will you need per month? Now, a good way to figure that number out, because you're thinking, well, I don't know, that's, it's 20 years off from now, right? You might be super young, like Nick Bohm or Rance on here, right? And you might be, man, I've got 30 years till I get to that number. Great. take whatever you would need today. What is it I need today, right now? My entire monthly budget with everything I have, everything I spend every single month, plus what would I like to do? So what would I need extra per month to be able to do that? And let's say that number is 10 grand. Your number is going to be your number, okay? And then for each decade that you have, maybe you've got 30 years to retirement, I would say you add 50% to that number for each year. So what would I say like that? So if you say you got 30 years to go, I would multiply whatever today's number is times 150%. So if 10 grand's your number and you have 30 years left before retirement, you're probably gonna need 25 grand a month by the time that comes. With inflation going right now, it might be worse. This is just numbers to give you an idea of what we need to do. Let's say the number is 10 grand. If you are retiring today, 10 grand per month you need coming in to retire, which means you only work when you want to, not because you have to. And maybe you don't want to work at all. Maybe you want to go on a trip around the world for a year. That's one of my life's goals with Stacy and I, to get on a cruise ship on one of those really awesome, super expensive rooms up on the top and travel around the world and visit like 70 different ports of call and just be gone. They have them. They're like 9 months long, 270 some days long. And you can get on there and just go and you can visit all these different countries and things like that. It's amazing. Anyways, you have your bucket list things that you want to do, but let's say you want to do that. How much money do you have to have coming in every month? So for 10 grand, okay, if you take your number, 10,000 is the one I'm just going to use. All right. You multiply that times 12, that would be 120,000. Then divide that by 0.04. That number gives you 3 million. That's the number you would need to have in the invested out there across all your different investments, money markets. You got, gold that you keep at your house. You got this, you got that. You would need to have around $3 million worth in assets to produce a monthly residual income coming in of 10 grand a month. 10 grand a month, 3 million you'd have to have, okay? Now, the reason we use 4, some of you are going to say, well, why are you dividing by 0.04? Because 4% is kind of the accepted conservative average number that most people say that you can count on as an overall return over the long term. Now, some of you are going to say, well, the stock market's been getting, 8 or 10%. Good luck with that. Go ahead and use that number. And let's hope you're at the end, you're not in a situation of regret, right? And we're talking about numbers across the board. Trust me, 4%. Some people even take that down to 3.5. But let's just use 4. We're optimistic on here. We'll use 4. 3 million in assets to have 10,000 a month. What if your number is 20,000 a month? What do you need? You're right, 6 million put away in assets. Okay. So the reason I bring that up is because there are ways to get there, but you got to start now. Here's what happened to Stacy and I when we started being the custodial people for Stacy's grandparents. We realized, man, we need to pick up the pace. We need to pick up the pace because when I looked at working because I had to into 70, 72, 75, what I realized is, yeah, while life in your 70s and 80s is cool, I mean, golden years, right? They got to do some stuff. There was a lot of stuff they didn't get to do. Like they never got to hike up the falls at Yosemite. They could not live in St. Croix because there is zero stuff for wheelchairs and scooters and things like that. You're right. It's on the side of a mountain. Can't live in the islands. You got to live in a flat place in Florida, right? That's all ADA compliant. I'm laughing because I'm thinking the things you want to do in life and where you want to be there. Do you really want to use your retirement age? Again, the description of retirement at 70 or 72. Do you know with Social Security, they encourage people to work, to keep working at their job and stuff until they're 72. They're thinking about raising that number to 78. Now, I thought 78 was a really interesting number considering the fact the average life expectancy is 77. Wouldn't that be convenient to pay money in all those years for the government, pay all the money in all those years, and you don't start collecting at 78 when the average age is 77? So what I want you to do today is to think about it. I want you to think, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to do in life? Do I want to scale Kilimanjaro? Do I want to go on a cruise around the world for 9 months? Do I want to visit these amazing places down in South America and Africa, right? And go on these incredible safaris and things like that. Whatever it is you want to do, take those things and then say, when are they best doable? Stacey and I going visiting Yosemite made us realize, even at the age we are now, some of the coolest stuff there to do, like scale Half Dome, you're not doing that at 60 plus. Nope. It would be absolutely ridiculous and dangerous. And all right, maybe the 0.001% that are out there that can do it, but the average American not gonna be able to do it. Not gonna be able to ever see that or experience that. And maybe that's on your list of things to do. I want you to take your time and figure it out and map it out. Where do I want to be? What do I want to do in retirement? And then is that stuff able to be done in my 70s? Or do I need to be looking at doing these things in my 50s and 60s? And here's what it did for Stacey and I, being with her grandparents for all those years. It sped everything up. It fast forwarded everything for us 15 years. We're like, what were we thinking? Being done, our definition of retirement in our 70s, were we nuts? Who wants to be the richest person in the graveyard? We want to start living life now, right? And so we start coming up with ways, how can we fast track this thing? And the answer to it was multiple streams of revenue, multiple streams of cash flow. Yes, we got our day-to-day gig, our day-to-day grind that we do right now. How do we generate other streams of income? And we found a real estate model that worked for us, that generated net worth, that money going into the bank, right? They just calculated yesterday, we have over 7,000 shares of stock in our company, which is very, very exciting number, considering the fact we had over 10,000 until we cashed a bunch to start doing a bunch of things we wanted to do. One of them, which was owning a Maserati and stuff like that, right? Cool stuff that we wanted to do. We wanted to experience life now, not just waiting for it at the end. But you also need to find a way to generate residual income. There's lots of ways out there to do it. We found a real estate model that helped fast track it for us to get us to a 5-figure a month residual income, just doing what we do in real estate. But there's lots of ways to do it. Maybe you're watching this, you're not in real estate. You can get investment properties, right? Investment properties. How do you do it? You go out there and you get $1 million in real estate, right? You find stuff that's cash flowing for you. And maybe you have 10 $100,000 homes. I'm just doing simple math because I am a product of public education. 10 $100,000 single family homes that generate $1,000 a month in revenue. There you go. There's your $10,000 number there. Maybe you do it that way. Maybe you're a Dave Ramsey person and you're just going to sacrifice everything right now completely and go to no dinners and do nothing. And you're going to pile all this money into the market and you're going to do it that way. Hopefully, you're a homeowner. That is how most Americans generate a big chunk of their wealth, right? By owning their home, paying their home off, and having that for them there. That is a great way to do it. You got to live in the house anyways. You got to pay a number. You might as well be a homeowner and pay that off over the years so that you have that nest egg there that you can use later and you can use as your own personal bank at a later date. Lots of different ways to do it, but how are you going to get there? Today's not really about the how, it's about the when. And then what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? When you're not motivated to get into shape, when you're not motivated to, because you got to go to the gym, right? So you're not motivated to eat right. You're not motivated to start working towards your goals and to do the grind work that it takes. Take a look at that number and remind yourself, what am I waiting for? I've got to get going. And hopefully that motivates you to keep you on track with your goals and things like that. I appreciate all of you jumping on here. I know it was kind of all over the place, but it was something, believe it or not, we came up with this conversation over some beers out in the middle of the Caribbean. We're sitting out there and we're just talking about adjusting our mindset as to when are we going to get going on this thing, and when do we start living our best life and doing the things that we want to do at the proper age? It doesn't make sense to wait until your 70s, because the average life expectancy is 77, right? For every person that lives to 78, there's somebody that didn't make it, that only made it to 76, right? And so on and so forth, the closer it gets. And that piece right there will get you going, and it'll get you moving. Only 2% of Americans will live to be 85 or older. Yet we saw almost 31% think that they will live that long. The numbers don't add up. And so we got to get going, living our life. So let's know if we can help you with anything. Thanks for jumping on here. And if you're mad at the fact that I told you that you're going to die, I'm sorry. It's just a fact. And I'm telling it to motivate you in a positive way, not to be negative. And if you're mad about that, just call and leave me a nasty message like that lady did. I apologize for it. If you saw this thing on Facebook, throw a like on it, subscribe, follow the channel, things like that. We do all kinds of stuff on here like this that's fun. Follow along our life. And thanks everybody for jumping on this morning. Have a great morning. Share this with somebody you know that is struggling with their goals. Send it to them and say, hey, this crazy guy right here who just got up this morning, hasn't even showered yet. He's got some interesting numbers for you. Good luck out there. Let us know if we can help you.